3 million used motorhomes just hit the market, and prices are in free fall. Dealers are panicking.
Helper says the general production and labor jobs start at $20 an hour, but people can get paid more for skills and experience they have.
The situation's only getting worse day by day.
Auctions are overflowing, and banks are quietly tightening credit lines. What looked like a seasonal dip is turning into a total collapse. Families who bought high during the boom are watching their equity vanish overnight. But here's the part nobody's saying. This drop hasn't even hit bottom yet. The next wave is coming fast, and if you act too soon, you could lose thousands or buy with crazy discounts. Here's what's really happening behind the crash. 3 million motorhomes hit the market. 3 million used motorhomes have just entered the market, and the numbers are staggering. Dealership lots across the country are packed with units from expiring leases, fleet returns, and owners who bought during the pandemic boom. Prices are already dropping in real time, some from $129,995 down to $101,000 in less than a week. The supply surge is unlike anything seen in decades, and it is hitting every segment simultaneously. Evidence from Copart auctions in Ohio shows over 500 motorhomes from a single fleet listed 20% below last week's hammer prices. This is not a seasonal fluctuation. It is a supply wave overwhelming retail capacity, with dealers forced to either slash prices or hold on to inventory and watch interest accrue. The flood is so large that floor plan lines are stretched thin, forcing some smaller dealerships to turn away units or risk default. Every unsold motorhome represents both a liability and a ticking cost, and families watching this market must understand that what looks like a bargain today could be a deeper trap tomorrow. Next up, we will see how this pressure moves from lots to lenders and why cash flow is already crumbling. Dealer credit under pressure. Dealer floor plan credit, the mechanism that keeps inventory rolling, has become a double-edged sword. Floor plans allow dealerships to rent motorhomes from manufacturers or financiers, paying interest only on units sold, but with values dropping this quickly, each unit becomes a financial burden. Internal dealer memos and financing bulletins reveal that some lenders are already demanding additional collateral or partial paydowns. A dealership with 100 units on the lot could be facing thousands of dollars per week in interest alone. Even profitable stores are seeing margins eaten alive, and smaller dealerships are exposed to immediate liquidity risk. This is not abstract accounting. Each unsold motorhome adds hundreds or thousands to their tab. The chain reaction is clear. Unsold inventory pushes banks to tighten lines, which forces more units to be sold, which drives prices down further. Dealers that survive are those with deep reserves or the ability to pivot quickly, but many will struggle to weather the next 30 days. Understanding the role of floor plan pressure is essential if you are tracking this market for your own purchases. Now, let's examine how the factory overproduction from 2020 to 2021 intensified the glut and set the stage for this flood. If you've seen prices falling or dealers struggling in your area, hit like and drop a comment with what's happening locally. Your insight could warn others and shape smart moves. Pandemic overproduction backfires. During the pandemic boom, manufacturers accelerated production to record levels, anticipating endless demand. Shipment logs and factory reports show output in 2021 exceeded projections by more than 30%, particularly for popular Class A and mid-sized motorhomes. At the time, dealers and lenders were encouraged to stock up, and many families signed long-term loans without considering residual value. Now, the post-boom reality clashes with this excess. New motorhomes, still fresh off the assembly line, compete directly with the returning used units. The combination has created a historic glut, compressing prices across all segments. The market is seeing inventory turnover at levels slower than ever, with auction lanes backing up as units fail to clear. Families and fleet operators who purchased heavily during the boom are scrambling to sell, pushing even more units onto already crowded lots. The overproduction mistake is now fully visible. What was meant to satisfy demand is amplifying the supply shock, and buyers must realize that what seemed abundant during the pandemic now threatens the market's stability. Next, we will look at how auctions are exposing the hidden truth about real prices and the mismatch between retail stickers and actual market value. Auction reveals real prices. Auction lanes are proving to be the clearest indicator of the market's health. While dealership stickers often remain inflated, live hammer prices reveal where motorhome values are truly landing. Recent auctions show Class A units going for 20 to 25% below what dealers still advertise, and mid-range motorhomes are slipping by 15% in single sessions. These figures come from direct screenshots and auction logs, documenting exactly what buyers are paying. The lesson is simple. Retail listings are no longer reliable, and any family relying solely on sticker prices risks overpaying. The discrepancy grows especially large in the luxury segment, where psychological attachment and perceived prestige previously insulated prices. Now, even top-tier units are hammered down, and the trend is accelerating as banks and floor plans exert pressure. For buyers tracking timing, auctions provide a transparent pulse on the market, but they also signal urgency. Prices will continue to adjust until supply matches demand, and the next week could see even deeper markdowns. Understanding the auction reality is critical before making any purchase, because the next phase of this market collapse may hit hard if these pricing gaps persist. Next, we will move from the flood itself into the dealer panic it is triggering. Zombie motorhomes. Slip through. The flood of 3 million used motorhomes hitting the market has a hidden danger: zombie units. These are flood-damaged, hurricane-impacted, or cosmetically repaired motorhomes that appear clean on the surface but harbor hidden structural issues. Dealer inspection photos and technical service bulletins show water lines that corrode unseen, brake lines that rot internally, and wiring harnesses that fail intermittently. Families walking onto lots may see a shiny exterior, deodorized interiors, and pristine paperwork, but the mechanical reality tells another story. These hidden hazards are not rare. Estimates from regional dealer reports suggest that at least 2 to 3% of returned fleet units carry severe concealed damage. With hundreds of units flooding each auction or dealer lot, the odds that one slips into your path are significant. The financial risk is immediate. Repair costs can exceed $20,000. Far above the markdown that drew a buyer in. Knowing the warning signs is critical. Next, we will see how repossessions are compounding the problem, adding pressure to the already flooded market. Repos feed the flood. Repossessions are accelerating the supply shock and dragging values down further. Records from regional repo auctions indicate that hundreds of units per week are being returned as owners default on long-term loans. Each repossessed motorhome adds to auctions where reserve prices are already falling, creating a cascading effect that erodes market confidence. The mechanics are simple. Banks reclaim collateral, auctions hammer prices lower, and dealers must absorb losses on under-collateralized floor plans. Families who assumed stability in their loans find themselves underwater in days rather than months. This also affects neighboring listings. Once a motorhome sells significantly below market, comparable units immediately lose value, regardless of condition. Data from 3 separate repossession auctions in Ohio and Indiana show Class A units dropping 15 to 20% in 1 week alone, with mid-size units down 10%. The consequence for prospective buyers is timing. Early purchase without insight could lock in a loss before the market stabilizes. Next, we will examine how the collapse varies across segments and why luxury coaches are falling fastest. Segment collapse timeline. Segment hierarchy matters more than ever in this flood. Price history charts show that luxury Class A motorhomes are collapsing first due to high original costs, heavy financing, and declining demand, while towables and compact trailers hold value slightly better because they require less collateral and attract a wider buyer pool. For example, a top-tier coach originally priced at $179,995 can now be found at auction for $140,000. Whereas mid-range towables see only minor drops of 10 to 12%. The reason is clear. Luxury units carry heavier loans and interest, making them more sensitive to defaults and floor plan pressure. Dealers prioritize moving high-cost units quickly to free cash, driving markdowns deeper. Families need to understand that segment choice dictates risk. Chasing the flashy top tier could result in immediate depreciation, while more practical models offer relative stability. Segment performance also dictates auction dynamics and financing availability. Next, we will explore how geography further influences absorption and stress in this market. Metro versus rural shock. The market stress varies sharply by geography. Metro areas are seeing rapid price drops because dealers compete in saturated markets, often with alternative transportation options for buyers, forcing accelerated discounts. Screenshots from regional dealer lots in Chicago and Detroit show mid-size units dropping 5 to 10% in under a week as competition intensifies. Rural markets initially hold better due to stronger local RV culture and fewer alternatives. But when credit tightens and local employment dips, even these areas see sharp declines. Reports from Indiana and Ohio indicate that after an initial lag, rural lots are now recording slower sales, rising inventory days, and accumulating floor plan interest. Families tracking this market must consider location carefully. A motorhome priced well in a rural lot could still be worth significantly less once sold elsewhere, or if repossessions hit the local auction pipeline. Geography dictates not only availability, but also timing windows for purchase. Understanding local absorption capacity is critical. Next, we will move into dealer panic and how these combined pressures translate into real financial risk for buyers. Layoffs. Ripple out. Factory layoffs are rippling far beyond the assembly line. Regional payroll data and supplier reports show that as motorhome production slows, workers in related industries, from window suppliers to chassis manufacturers, are being sent home with partial or no severance. In Elkhart, Indiana, one of the nation's largest motorhome hubs, payroll cuts affected over 500 employees in the past 2 weeks alone. Restaurants, service stations, and local vendors that depend on steady factory traffic are reporting empty tables and falling revenue. Tax bases shrink as property and sales tax collections drop, placing pressure on schools, police, and essential services. Layoffs also force families to tighten spending immediately, affecting everything from groceries to fuel. The economic chain is direct. One plant closure or shift reduction can destabilize an entire town. Communities that once thrived on steady manufacturing, paychecks are now seeing real hardship. Families who believed in stable employment are now forced to consider alternative income or relocation. Next, we turn to Washington, where political debates over relief and bailouts are intensifying, and the outcome could determine whether these layoffs are temporary or permanent. Congressional clash. In Washington, a political clash is unfolding. Draft policy bills and lobby notes indicate lawmakers are split between providing relief to dealerships and manufacturers or upholding fiscal restraint. One set of proposals seeks targeted tax credits and loan restructuring for overstocked dealerships, arguing that without intervention, entire towns will suffer economic collapse. Opponents warn that bailing out businesses for speculative mistakes rewards reckless behavior and could strain federal budgets. Congressional hearings show constituents flooding offices with complaints about declining motorhome values, negative equity, and family hardships. Lobbyists representing manufacturers push for relief tied to specific swing state plants, increasing political tension. Delays in legislation exacerbate uncertainty, keeping both dealerships and consumers guessing, which feeds market volatility. The question for buyers is timing. Without clarity from Washington, dealerships hesitate to price aggressively, auctions fluctuate, and families remain exposed. Political indecision translates directly into financial exposure on the ground. Next, we examine how Wall Street is responding to the same collapse, and why institutional exits amplify risk for ordinary households. Subscribe now to stay ahead of the next wave. Missing updates could cost thousands as the market shifts. Stay informed, protect your wallet, and make every purchase a strategic move. Wall Street exits. Wall Street is already reacting, and the signals are unmistakable. Stock price charts for publicly traded motorhome manufacturers have been falling steadily, with declines of 10 to 15% in recent weeks. Credit spreads on dealer bonds are widening, indicating investor concern over potential defaults. Hedge funds and analysts are rotating capital into safer industries, dumping exposure to motorhome stocks before losses deepen. For ordinary investors, this means retirement accounts and pensions tied to manufacturing equities are taking immediate hits. Unlike Main Street, institutional capital moves quickly, often preempting further market deterioration. The psychological effect is significant. As analysts issue downgrades and media reports circulate, consumer confidence erodes, and hesitant buyers delay purchases further. The combination of investor withdrawal and dealer caution creates a feedback loop that accelerates price declines across all motorhome segments. For families tracking their financial exposure, these moves are a warning. Institutional behavior often foreshadows household losses. Next, we explore how individual households are trapped in negative equity and why voluntary surrender is no longer a simple option. Households trapped. Households in negative equity face tough choices. Loan documents and credit bureau data show many buyers who signed long-term contracts during the pandemic boom now owe more than their motorhomes are worth. Selling at market prices causes immediate losses. Refinancing is limited by tighter bank rules, and voluntary surrender can damage credit histories for years. Families who once relied on mobility or investment potential now face real financial pressure, with monthly payments consuming more of household income. Stress compounds as auctions hammer values downward, dragging private sales along. Data from 3 regional credit bureaus confirms defaults are rising, especially among high-cost Class A owners. Each week without action increases exposure, forcing some into liquidation while others remain trapped. Recognizing which families are vulnerable helps buyers anticipate supply shocks. Cash buyers dominate. Cash buyers currently have the advantage in the motorhome market. Dealer cash offer sheets and auction logs show units priced at $129,995 being accepted for $112,000 or less with immediate payment. Liquidity dictates terms. Dealers desperate to move inventory may offer incentives like complimentary servicing or extended warranties. Families with ready funds can negotiate aggressively, while financed buyers face stricter approvals and higher rates. The gap between cash and credit buyers is widening weekly. Dealers respond to mounting interest costs, floor plan pressure, and auction signals. Understanding this leverage helps avoid overpaying and select units with the least depreciation risk. Next, we'll see how patient timing amplifies these advantages. Timing is everything. Patience is one of the most valuable tools in the motorhome market. Clearance rate charts and seasonal auction analysis show that the steepest markdowns occur at specific points each quarter when inventory peaks and dealers face financial reporting deadlines. Buyers who wait for these windows can secure 10 to 15% deeper discounts than standard dealer offers. Timing is critical in high-demand Class A motorhomes, where a single auction cycle can move dozens of units and reset comparable prices. Observing auction velocity, lot rotation, and fleet return schedules allows disciplined buyers to predict the optimal moment. Rushing purchases early or mid-cycle increases risk and reduces leverage. Historical auction data confirms the last week of each quarter consistently delivers the lowest hammer prices. Next, we'll explore contrarian opportunities. Contrarian buyers are focusing on older models and less popular brands that the broader market overlooks. Dealer inventory lists and segment pricing show that compact towables, mid-sized Class B motorhomes, and 2018 to 2019 models are undervalued relative to condition and mileage. Unlike the general market chasing Class A units, these overlooked categories offer durable components, cheaper parts, and lower ongoing costs, making them safer for long-term ownership or resale. Contrarian strategies require inspection and verification, but buyers who understand depreciation math and hidden demand cycles can capture substantial savings. These opportunities will not last. As knowledge spreads, pricing pressure rises. Monitoring auction turnover and dealer reluctance reveals which segments offer the best risk-adjusted value. Next, we'll pinpoint the final market drop and how to act decisively. Final market drop. The final drop in motorhome prices can be forecast by tracking fleet return schedules and shipment pipelines. Historically, when large numbers of fleet units return at the same time and new production overlaps, a brief window of markdowns appears, typically lasting 1 to 2 weeks. Dealers facing simultaneous pressure from auctions, floor plan costs, and seasonal reporting offer their deepest discounts during this period. Families monitoring return dates and shipment volumes can time purchases to secure undervalued units and avoid overpaying. Missing this window risks locking in higher prices, residual depreciation, or increased interest rates. The signal stack is clear. Inventory spikes plus auction velocity plus floor plan pressure create a narrow, actionable opportunity. Preparation requires verification, dealer bulletins, auction listings, and pipeline updates to ensure you act at the precise moment the market grants leverage. Will you be ready, or will hesitation cost thousands? Timing is the final step to protect your wallet. If this market market update shocked you? It should. 3 million motorhomes flooding the market is just the beginning, and the next few weeks could change everything for buyers and owners alike. So, what are you seeing where you live? Are prices tanking near you? Drop your story in the comments. Your insight could warn someone else. And if you want to stay ahead of this collapse, hit like, subscribe, and turn on alerts, because the next wave is coming fast.